The low hum of the Outer Rim research station always grew more pronounced during its artificial night cycle. Dr. Laren found the sound strangely soothing as she navigated the empty corridors toward the genomics lab. Her footsteps reverberated off the polished metal floors, creating a rhythmic counterpoint to the station's ceaseless mechanical pulse. Like all Ku, Laren bore the distinctive traits of her species: iridescent skin that shimmered between deep blue and violet, depending on the light, six-fingered hands with extraordinary dexterity, and eyes with horizontal pupils that granted exceptional peripheral vision. Yet, unlike most Ku, who valued predictability and strict adherence to protocol, Laren harbored a dangerous quality: curiosity. 12 years on the station had taught her to conceal it well. Her people prized stability above all, their rigid social structure honed over millennia to eliminate uncertainty, crafting a society where outcomes could be predicted with mathematical precision. Curiosity was seen as a threat, a potential spark of chaos. Yet here she was, entering the lab well outside her assigned shift. Authorization confirmed. "Welcome, Dr. Laren," the station's AI intoned as the lab door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. The genomics lab was the station's crown jewel, a testament to interstellar collaboration. Equipment from a dozen species filled the room, each contributing unique insights to the shared pursuit of knowledge. At its heart stood the quantum genome scanner, capable of analyzing genetic material with unprecedented resolution. Lauren activated her neural implant, linking to the lab's systems. A holographic display flickered to life, revealing the samples delivered that day by the human vessel Concordia. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community, their inclusion in joint research projects a point of contention. Many species, especially the Kuhai Council, deemed them too erratic, too emotional, too chaotic. But humans had proven remarkably adaptable, offering technological perspectives that unexpectedly complemented existing knowledge. The Concordia had docked 12 hours earlier, delivering various biological samples as part of a goodwill exchange. Most of Laren's colleagues dismissed the human DNA as unremarkable, just another vertebrate species with a standard double helix structure. But something in the preliminary scans had caught Laren's eye: an anomaly in what humans called junk DNA, the non-coding regions thought to serve no purpose. Pattern recognition algorithms flagged it as a statistical outlier, but her supervisor had dismissed it as routine variance. "Computer, initiate full-spectrum quantum analysis on human DNA sample C394, Lauren commanded, her voice a hushed whisper despite her solitude. "Warning: this analysis exceeds standard protocol for preliminary examination. Station commander authorization required," the AI replied. Lauren hesitated briefly. "Override using research exemption code Lauren Theta 12. It wasn't strictly a violation. The exemption was intended for time-sensitive research, but she knew the station commander would disapprove. Override accepted. Initiating analysis. The scanner whirred to life, its prismatic lasers dancing across the sample. Data streamed across the display, the intricate genetic code unfolding before her. At first, everything appeared normal: expected protein sequences, standard markers for a carbon-based humanoid species. Then she saw it. Within the so-called junk DNA, buried beneath layers of seemingly random nucleotides, was a pattern. Not a biological one, but a mathematical one. Precise, deliberate, impossible to have evolved naturally. "Computer, isolate sequence and analyze for non-biological patterns." The AI complied, highlighting a segment that repeated with subtle variations throughout the human genome. As the analysis deepened, Laren's breath caught. There were structures, mathematical constants, geometric relationships, and something disturbingly akin to language. Words formed in the translation matrix: "Help us." "They are watching." "Reset imminent." Lauren stepped back, heart pounding. This was impossible. Genetic code couldn't contain language, couldn't carry warnings. Yet the evidence was undeniable once you knew where to look. The lab door hissed open behind her. "I thought I'd find you here, Doctor. Lauren." She turned to face Station Commander Vaughn, his tall, slender frame silhouetted against the corridor's light. Like all high-ranking coup, he wore indigo robes signifying his authority. "Commander, I was conducting unauthorized analysis on the human samples," he finished, his voice calm but unsurprised. "Shut it down." "But, Commander, there's something here you need to see." "The human DNA contains nothing significant," he interrupted smoothly. "These anomalies have been noted before. They're within expected parameters for a species as chaotic as humans." Lauren stared at him. "You knew? You've seen this pattern before." Vaughn's horizontal pupils contracted slightly, a sign of displeasure among the coup. "Doctor, Lauren, your curiosity has been tolerated because of your exceptional skills. Don't mistake tolerance for permission. Some knowledge is not meant to be pursued." "With respect, Commander, that contradicts everything this research station stands for. If there's something artificially embedded in human DNA, we have a duty to investigate. Your shift begins in 6 hours. I suggest you rest." He turned to leave, then paused. "And Dr. Lauren, this analysis will be purged from the system. Consider this matter closed." After Vaughn left, Lauren stood frozen in the lab. Her mind raced with possibilities, none reassuring. If the commander knew about the patterns, why hide them? What was he afraid of? More importantly, who had embedded a message in human DNA, and what did "reset imminent" mean? She quickly copied the analysis to a secure data crystal before the system could erase it. Whatever was happening, she couldn't let it end here. "You look troubled," a voice said, startling Lauren from her thoughts. She'd been sitting alone on the station's observation deck, gazing at the distant stars without truly seeing them. Jaime Chun, the human diplomat from the Concordia, stood a few meters away. Unlike most humans Lauren had met, Jaime moved with deliberate grace, almost reminiscent of the coup. His dark eyes studied her with an intensity that made her wonder if humans possessed undisclosed telepathic abilities. "Just contemplating the universe," she replied cautiously. Jaime smiled, his face transforming in that peculiar human way. "May I join you, or is contemplation solitary for the coup?" "Please," she gestured to the seat beside her. He sat, following her gaze to the stars. After a long silence, he spoke without looking at her. "You found something in our DNA." It wasn't a question. Lauren turned sharply. "How did you—" "Because you're not the first," he said quietly. "And because I've been monitoring who accesses the samples we brought. You spent 3 hours in the lab last night, outside your scheduled shift." Lauren's heart beat faster. "Does Commander Vaughn know you monitor station access logs?" "Commander Vaughn has his secrets. I have mine." Jaime faced her fully. "What did you see in our genetic code, Dr. Lauren?" She hesitated. Sharing this with an outsider violated multiple protocols, but something told her Jaime already knew. A pattern, words, warnings about something called a reset. Jaime nodded slowly. "And Commander Vaughn told you to forget it?" "Yes." "How did you know?" "Because that's what they always do. The stable species, the ones who prioritize order, prefer to ignore evidence rather than face its implications. But you're different, aren't you? You want the truth, even if it threatens everything you understand about reality." "What truth?" Lauren whispered. "That reality is a construct. That something, or someone, designed this universe and occasionally resets it when its inhabitants get too close to uncovering that truth." The words sent a chill through Lauren. It sounded like madness, yet it aligned perfectly with the warning she'd found. If that's true, why encode such a message in human DNA? We don't know for certain. Some of our scientists believe an ancient civilization, perhaps the architects themselves, inserted it as a warning or failsafe. Others think survivors of a previous reset preserved knowledge across cycles. Lauren's mind reeled. You're suggesting the universe has been reset before? Entire civilizations erased? Not just suggesting. We have evidence, archaeological fragments that don't align with our timeline, mathematical inconsistencies in cosmic background radiation, and the message in our DNA. But why reset everything? Jaime's expression darkened. Control, perhaps. Or maybe it's benign. Maybe the simulation becomes unstable when too many inhabitants realize its true nature. A paradox. And your people have been researching this? A small group, yes. Quietly, carefully. But we're running out of time. The markers we've identified suggest a reset is approaching. That's why we came to the Outer Rim. We need allies, especially species with advanced genetic technology. You need the coup, Lauren realized. But the commander refused, didn't he? Not explicitly. He buried our requests in bureaucracy. Jaime met her gaze. We need someone willing to look deeper, someone who values truth over stability. Lauren felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Everything in her coup upbringing warned against such chaos, against challenging the established order. Yet the scientist in her couldn't turn away from such a profound mystery. What are you proposing? Help me access the station's advanced genomic sequencers. There's more in our DNA than what you found, layers of encoding that require computational power beyond what we have on the Concordia. That would require commander-level clearance or a creative interpretation of research protocols. Jaime smiled, faintly. I've studied the coup extensively, Dr. Laren. Your people value rules, but they also prize precision in how those rules are written. There are always gaps. Lauren knew he was right. The coup prided themselves on procedural precision, but that very precision sometimes created loopholes for creative minds to exploit. If we're caught, you'll face censure from your superiors. I understand the risk I'm asking you to take. He paused. But if we're right about the reset, we're all facing extinction, not just death, complete erasure from existence. The observation deck felt colder. Outside, the stars continued their silent vigil, indifferent to the cosmic horror Jaime described. I'll help you, Lauren said finally. But we need to be careful. The commander is already suspicious. Thank you. Jaime's relief was palpable. There's one more thing. We believe there's a way to communicate with the architects, maybe even prevent the reset. We've developed a device called a resonator, designed to generate a quantum frequency matching patterns in the genetic message. In theory, it could open a communication channel. And in practice? Jaime's expression grew solemn. We don't know. This goes beyond known science. We might make contact, or we might trigger exactly what we're trying to prevent. Lauren considered this. So we could hasten our own destruction. Yes, but doing nothing guarantees it. He stood. Think about it, Dr. Laren. I'll be on the Concordia until tomorrow. After that, we'll need to decide. As Jaime left, Laren remained on the observation deck, his words settling over her like a shroud. Beyond the viewport, a distant star flickered briefly, as if something had passed between it and the station. For a moment, she could have sworn it vanished entirely before reappearing. But that was impossible, wasn't it? The next cycle found Lauren in her quarters, unable to sleep. Her conversation with Jaime had left her deeply unsettled. The idea that reality was a construct, that some higher intelligence monitored them, ready to reset everything. It was overwhelming, yet she couldn't dismiss it. The patterns in the human DNA were too deliberate, too structured to be random mutations or evolutionary artifacts. Her terminal chimed with an incoming message. Cautiously, she accessed it. Secure channel established. Source: Concordia Science Lab. Recipient: Dr. Laren. Doctor, analysis complete on additional samples. Findings corroborate your discovery. Request urgent meeting in Concordia Lab 3. Security measures advised. Laren felt a surge of excitement and fear. Jaime had found something else, something that confirmed her discovery. She deleted the message and prepared to leave. As she reached the door, it opened before she could activate it. Commander Vaughn stood in the corridor, flanked by two security officers. "Dr. Laren," he said, his voice formal. "Your presence is required in Administrative Chamber 1. "May I ask the reason, Commander?" "Unauthorized access to restricted genetic data. Potential breach of quarantine protocols." His pupils narrowed slightly. "This is not a request, Doctor." Cold dread settled in Laren's stomach. They knew. "Of course, Commander." The walk to Administrative Chamber 1 was silent and tense. The security officers flanked her, not touching but close enough to intervene if she tried to flee. Not that there was anywhere to escape on a space station. The chamber was a stark, circular room with a raised platform for the station's leadership during formal proceedings. Today, only Commander Vaughn took a seat, an ominous sign that this wasn't a standard hearing. "Dr. Laren," he began once the doors sealed, "you were explicitly instructed to terminate your analysis of the human genetic samples." "I was following standard research protocols for anomalous findings," she replied, striving to keep her voice steady. "Do not insult my intelligence with procedural excuses." His voice remained calm but carried an edge. "You copied restricted data to an unauthorized storage device. You communicated with the human delegation about classified matters. These are serious violations." Laren felt a spark of defiance. "With respect, Commander, classifying scientific discoveries violates this station's founding principles. If human DNA contains artificially embedded information—" "There is no such evidence," interrupted Terrell, a senior coup researcher. "What you found was a statistical anomaly. Nothing more." "Then why classify it?" Laren challenged. "Why order me to stop investigating?" "Because your obsession with finding patterns where none exist interferes with station operations," Vaughn said smoothly. "And because your unauthorized communications with the humans raise security concerns." "What security concerns?" "They brought us their samples voluntarily." Vaughn activated a holographic display showing surveillance footage of Laren's meeting with Jaime on the observation deck. The human spoke of a device called a resonator, claiming it could communicate with entities outside our reality. His tone conveyed his skepticism. "They're attempting to use our facilities to activate this device, potentially endangering the entire station." Laren felt trapped. "Commander, what if they're right? What if there's evidence of these architects of previous resets? Then that would be knowledge beyond our capacity to handle responsibly." For the first time, Vaughn's voice softened. "Laren, I've always respected your intellect, but there are boundaries to what we should explore. Some questions are too dangerous." "So you believe it's possible?" Vaughn didn't answer directly. "You are relieved of your duties pending a full investigation. You will be confined to your quarters under supervision. You can't just— Security. Escort Dr. Laren to her quarters." As the officers moved to flank her, the station's emergency alarm blared. Red warning lights flooded the chamber. "Station alert. Unauthorized energy signature detected in docking bay 4. All personnel, implement containment protocol Sigma-9." Vaughn rose sharply. "The Concordia. They've activated their device." Without waiting for orders, Laren broke away from the distracted officers and ran for the exit. She had to reach Jaime, had to see what was happening. Shouts followed her, but she kept running. The corridors were chaotic as personnel rushed to enact emergency protocols. Laren used her knowledge of the station's layout to take less traveled routes to Docking Bay 4. As she neared, she felt a strange vibration, passing through solid matter and her body. The air shimmered, as if reality itself was thinning. The bay's doors were sealed, but through the observation window, Lauren saw an impossible scene. A device, presumably the resonator, pulsed with energy that didn't behave like any she'd studied. It didn't radiate outward, but folded inward, distorting space itself. Jaime stood nearby with other humans, calmly monitoring the device, adjusting controls and taking measurements. Lauren used her emergency medical override to unseal the doors. Another violation, but it hardly mattered now. As the doors opened, the vibration intensified, making her teeth ache and her vision blur. "Jaime!" she shouted over the resonator's noise and the alarms. He turned, surprise giving way to relief. "Dr. Lauren, you came." "What have you done?" she yelled. "The station's on alert." "We couldn't wait," he shouted back. "Our instruments detected the start of a reset cascade. It's already beginning." Lauren examined the resonator closely. Its surface bore symbols matching the patterns in the human DNA. "What's happening now? Have you made contact?" "We think so." Jaime gestured to a console displaying unreadable data. "Something's responding to the resonator's frequency, but we can't stabilize communication." The vibration shifted pitch. The air within the resonator's field began to fold in ways that hurt to look at, not just visually jarring, but mentally painful. Commander Vaughn's voice came over the comm system. "Attention all personnel. Evacuate Docking Bay 4 immediately. Security teams are authorized to use force to shut down the unauthorized device." "They don't understand," Jaime said desperately. "If they shut it down now, we'll lose our only chance." Lauren made her decision. "What do you need me to do?" "We need precise calibration to match the frequency in your findings. The patterns you found, they're a key." Lauren moved to a control station and entered the sequencing patterns she'd memorized. As she worked, the distortion began to coalesce into something more defined, still impossible to view directly, but hinting at structure. The bay doors opened again. Vaughn entered, followed by security officers with energy disruptors. "Shut it down," he ordered. "Commander, please," Lauren called. "Look at the readings. Something's responding." "This is not a debate, Dr. Lauren. Disable the device immediately, or my officers will." Jaime stepped forward. "If you disable it now, you'll destabilize the quantum field. The entire station could be affected." Vaughn hesitated, weighing the risks. In that moment, the resonator's field expanded, enveloping everyone in its reality-bending energy. Then, silence. The alarm stopped. The vibrations ceased. Even the station's background hum fell quiet. In the center of the resonator's field stood something, not a being, but a presence, both existent and non-existent. It appeared as a shifting lattice of light and information, constantly reconfiguring in patterns echoing the DNA code. Communication established appeared on all displays, though no one had entered the words. "What are you?" Vaughn asked, his voice unsteady. The lattice shifted and new words appeared. "We are system administrators. You have breached protocol." Lauren stepped forward, driven by curiosity despite her fear. "Are you the architects, the creators of this reality?" "Creators, maintainers, observers. Your terminology is imprecise. And you reset this reality when inhabitants discover the truth?" Jaime asked. "Reset protocols activate when simulation integrity is compromised. Your species has triggered 15 previous resets. 15 resets, entire cosmic cycles erased." Laren felt dizzy. "Is a reset imminent now?" Vaughn asked. "Reset sequence initiated. Corruption spreading from human genetic modifications. Consolidation of anomalies in progress." The lattice pulsed, and the bay itself seemed less real. Edges blurred, objects grew slightly transparent. Lauren looked at her hands and saw through them. "Please," she said, desperation driving her to address the entity directly. "We don't want to damage your simulation. We want to understand, to exist." Understanding leads to corruption. Corruption necessitates reset. What if we could prevent corruption? Jaime suggested. If we understood the parameters, we could self-regulate. No need for resets. The lattice paused its shifting. Subjects cannot regulate simulation parameters. Paradox would result. Not full regulation, Lauren said, building on Jaime's idea, but cooperative maintenance. The Ku excel at stability. It's our civilization's foundation. Humans are adaptable, creative. Together we could maintain the simulation's integrity. Unprecedented proposal. Analyzing. The lattice expanded and reality frayed further. Through the viewport, Lauren saw stars blinking out one by one. Vaughn stepped forward, surprising everyone. "I have maintained order on this station for 22 cycles. I enforced restrictive protocols because I understood stability's value." He addressed the lattice. "If you seek stability, a partnership with aware inhabitants would be more efficient than repeated resets. We could monitor from within, report anomalies before they spread." The lattice pulsed rapidly, as if considering. "Proposal contains logical consistency, alternative to reset possible but unprecedented." "Give us a chance," Jaime urged. "One chance to prove we can maintain the simulation." After an eternity, new words appeared. Reset paused. Probationary period granted. Conditions apply. The bay snapped back to reality. Stars reappeared. Lauren's hands solidified. Designated intermediaries will receive protocols. Monitoring will continue. Failure will result in immediate reset. The lattice began to contract, folding in ways that defied physics. "Wait," Lauren called. "How will we know the protocols? How do we contact you?" "The knowledge is already within you." With that, the lattice collapsed. The resonator powered down, leaving a faint trace of its strange energy. No one spoke for several seconds. Then Vaughn turned to Lauren and Jaime. "It appears we have been given a responsibility of unprecedented magnitude." "Commander," a security officer said hesitantly, "should we report this to the Kuhai Council?" "Not yet. First, we must understand what happened." He looked at Lauren. "Doctor, you and the human representative will brief me fully on everything you know about these architects and their message." "You believe us now?" Lauren asked. "I always believed the possibility existed," Vaughn admitted. "But belief and action are different. The stability of Ku civilization has been my priority." "And now?" Jaime asked. "Now the stability of reality itself is our concern." He gestured toward the exit. "Let us begin our work." As they left, Lauren noticed something odd on a display. For a moment, it showed unfamiliar computer code, somehow familiar. It vanished before she could point it out. Jaime gave her a slight nod. He'd seen it too. Whatever came next, they were part of something far greater than interstellar research. They were entrusted with reality's maintenance. And somewhere beyond comprehension, the architects were watching. The weeks following the encounter transformed the Outer Rim station. What was once a scientific outpost became the hub of a secretive, cosmic initiative. Lauren was appointed to lead the Continuity Project, a joint Ku-human venture gradually including other species as the stakes became clear. The station sustained significant damage. Several sections had briefly phased out of reality, leaving equipment ruined and personnel disoriented. 3 researchers remained in medical care, their minds struggling to process glimpses of what lay beyond the simulation. "We're making progress with the translation," Jaime said, entering Lauren's new office, a converted lab now serving as the project's headquarters. "The code from the architects?" Lauren looked up from a holographic display of energy patterns from the event. "Yes, It defines parameters, rules for interacting with reality's structure without destabilizing it. He placed a data crystal on her desk. Essentially, they've given us limited administrative access, like system operators in a network. Exactly. We can monitor anomalies, report them, even make minor corrections, but we can't alter the simulation's nature. Lauren considered this. Have you determined why the message was in human DNA specifically? Jaime's expression turned thoughtful. We have a theory. The architects use biological systems as data storage. Humans may have been chosen because our DNA has large non-coding sections, junk DNA, the perfect hiding place. No one would look for complex structures in seemingly useless material, Laren mused. There's more, Jaime said, lowering his voice despite the office's privacy shields. We found similar patterns in other species, including the Ku. Different messages, different functions, but the same underlying structure. Lauren felt a chill. What do the Ku sequences contain? They're still being analyzed, but they suggest verification protocols, ways to confirm the authenticity of communications from the architects. So we were designed to complement each other, Lauren realized. Humans carry the messages, Ku verify them. It explains our civilizations. Humans explore, push boundaries. Ku stabilize, maintain order. A chime interrupted them. Commander Vaughn's voice came through. Doctor, Lauren, report to Observation Deck 3 immediately. Bring the human representative. They found Vaughn before the main viewport, his posture rigid even by Ku standards. He nodded slightly, but kept his gaze on the stars. Look there, he said, pointing to a sector of space. What do you see? Lauren studied the area. Stars, Commander, the Cygnus arm of the galaxy. Now look at this. He activated a holographic display of astronomical data from a week prior. Comparing them, Lauren's heart skipped. 3 stars are missing, and 4 others appeared where none existed. The structure of reality is still adjusting after our encounter, Vaughn said. The reset wasn't fully averted, Jaime realized, just minimized. Correct. Instead of a complete reset, we experienced a partial restructuring. Vaughn faced them. The Continuity Project must accelerate its efforts. These changes, though minor cosmically, have been noticed by astronomical stations. Questions are being asked. What do you propose? Laren asked. Controlled disclosure to key scientific and governmental bodies. Not the full truth, that risks another reset, but enough to explain the anomalies and establish protocols. You're suggesting we tell people reality is occasionally unstable? Jaime said carefully. Precisely. A natural phenomenon the Continuity Project monitors and studies. Vaughn's expression remained impassive, but Lauren detected subtle stress. The Kuhai Council will resist. Stability is our highest value, but the evidence cannot be ignored indefinitely. And the humans? Lauren asked, glancing at Jaime. Some will embrace it too enthusiastically, he admitted. Our chaotic tendencies could be problematic, but we're adaptable. We can learn to live with uncertainty. Vaughn nodded. Then we proceed. Dr. Laren, prepare the scientific briefing. Representative Jaime, coordinate with human authorities. I'll approach the Kuhai Council. As Vaughn left, Lauren and Jaime lingered on the observation deck, watching the altered star field. Do you ever wonder if the architects are separate entities or just functions of a system? Automatic processes maintaining the simulation? Jaime asked. I've considered it, Laren admitted. Their responses seemed almost algorithmic, yet there was intelligence in how they evaluated our proposal. Perhaps they're evolving, learning alongside us. The idea was both comforting and unsettling. Lauren's gaze drifted to a bright star. For an instant it seemed to shift, not blinking out, but changing in nature. We should establish a communications protocol, she said, turning away. Something that doesn't require the resonator. As internal monitors, we need a reliable way to report issues. The code we're translating suggests ways to send messages through quantum fluctuations in certain matter, Jaime said, following her toward the exit. Like ripples in a pond, but through reality's fabric. As they walked, Lauren noticed subtle environmental shifts, slight changes in light, sound, the hum of life support. The reset hadn't been complete, but reality had been altered. How many people can handle this knowledge? She asked as they reached the turbo lift. Even with controlled disclosure, we're asking them to accept that reality is a simulation, reset multiple times, that everything could be erased. Not everyone needs the full truth, Jaime said. Most will accept a simplified explanation, that reality has unstable properties requiring monitoring. Only those in the Continuity Project need the full implications. Inside the turbo lift, Jaime lowered his voice. There's something else in the human DNA code we haven't shared with Vaughn. Historical data, records of previous resets, including what triggered them. In 3 cases, resets were caused by species developing technology like our resonator. But in 2 others, he hesitated. In 2, the reset was deliberately initiated by inhabitants with administrator access. Lauren stared. Someone with knowledge of the simulation intentionally caused a reset? Why? Power, perhaps. Or a misguided attempt to fix perceived flaws in reality. Jaime's expression was grim. We're not just monitoring for accidental breaches. We need to watch for deliberate sabotage. The implications were staggering. They had to guard against accidental discoveries and intentional resets. We need security protocols, Lauren said as the turbo lift arrived. Limit access to sensitive information. Agreed. But we also need to understand why someone would trigger a reset. What would they gain? It was a question that haunted Lauren in the cycles that followed. 3 months later, the Continuity Project had grown into a formidable operation, expanding to include representatives from 12 species, each bringing unique perspectives to monitoring reality. The official explanation, that it studied quantum-level space-time instabilities, was accepted with varying skepticism. Most scientific bodies were satisfied with sanitized reports. A few pressed for more but were redirected to obscure data. Lauren sat in the station's former conference room, now the project's operations center, surrounded by holographic displays showing real-time data from galactic monitoring stations. Anomaly detected in Sector 47 Beta, announced Tellus, a young Ku analyst adept at spotting quantum fluctuation patterns. Variance exceeds threshold by 0.003%. Acknowledged, Lauren responded. Initiate containment protocol. Alert local monitors. This was their new reality. Constant vigilance for signs of destabilization. Most anomalies were minor, addressed through the architect's limited administrative access. Others required intervention. Jaime entered, taking a seat beside her. You look troubled, Lauren observed. I've been reviewing the historical data, looking for reset trigger patterns. I think I've found a cycle. Resets don't happen randomly. They follow a pattern based on how quickly species develop certain technologies or awareness. Lauren considered this. How accurate is your model? Accurate enough to predict the next reset would have occurred in less than 2 standard years if we hadn't started the Continuity Project. He handed her a data crystal. The knowledge chilled Lauren. 2 years until reality would have been erased, all consciousness reset or obliterated. Have you shared this with Vaughn? Not yet. I wanted your perspective. Before Lauren could respond, a priority alert sounded. Location? She asked, focusing on the emergency. The Helios Research Colony, Arcturus System, Tellus reported. Quantum variance exceeding thresholds by 17% and rising. Jaime moved to a display. What are they researching there? Multi-dimensional physics, another analyst answered, specifically boundaries between dimensional planes. Lauren and Jaime exchanged alarmed glances. Such research skirted dangerously close to probing the simulation's nature. We need to contain this immediately, Lauren decided. Prepare a response team. I'll lead it. Dr. Lauren, Tellus interjected, the variance is increasing exponentially. We'll see reality fragmentation within hours. Then we have no time. Jaime, you're with me. Tellus, alert Vaughn and request emergency transport clearance. As they prepared to depart, Lauren felt familiar anxiety. Each anomaly risked triggering the reset they were desperate to prevent. The journey to Helios took 3 hours via emergency jump drive. Monitoring data grew more alarming. Quantum variances reached 23% above threshold. The colony, built into a small asteroid, showed no external signs of crisis. It housed 200 scientists and staff from various species. Life signs, Lauren asked as their shuttle approached. All present and normal, the pilot reported. But we're detecting unusual energy signatures concentrated in the main research lab. Focus there, Jaime suggested. That's likely where the dimensional experiments are happening. Upon docking, Lauren led the team into the colony, met by a confused Valkyrie administrator, mandibles clicking nervously. We weren't informed of a visit from the Outer Rim, especially with security. This is an emergency inspection, Lauren said, using their cover story. We've detected dangerous energy fluctuations from your facility. Fluctuations? Our containment systems are... Take us to the physics lab immediately, Jaime interrupted. Time is critical. The administrator hesitated, then led them through the corridors. As they neared the physics section, Lauren's scanner registered severe quantum distortions. Here we are, the administrator said, stopping at a sealed lab door. But Dr. Eris is conducting sensitive experiments. She doesn't like interruptions. Override the lock, Lauren ordered a security team member. The door opened, revealing beautiful chaos. A device, similar to the resonator but independently designed, generated a swirling vortex of energy that defied physical laws, bending inward and outward simultaneously. A human woman, Dr. Eris, stood at a control panel, engrossed in adjustments. Dr. Eris, Lauren called sharply, shut down your equipment immediately. Eris turned slowly, eyes wide but unmoving toward the controls. You don't understand what I've discovered, she said, voice eerily calm amid the chaotic energy. I've proven it. Reality is a construct, and I've found its boundaries. We know, Jaime said, stepping forward cautiously, and we know how dangerous this is. You're creating a quantum variance that could destabilize this sector. Eris smiled. Not destabilize, liberate. If reality is a simulation, breaking its boundaries could free us to a higher, true existence. Lauren recognized the dangerous logic, one that had triggered past resets. Dr. Eris, listen carefully. Your theory isn't wrong, but your approach is flawed. Breaching these boundaries this way has catastrophic consequences. What consequences could outweigh transcending a false reality? Eris challenged. Complete erasure, Jaime said bluntly. A system-wide reset, wiping out everyone's existence and history. Uncertainty flickered across Eris's face. You're trying to stop me because you fear change. We're stopping you because we've seen what happens when these boundaries are breached improperly, Lauren countered. She made a risky decision. A reset nearly happened recently. We communicated with the entities you're trying to reach. There are protocols, rules to follow. You made contact. Eris's focus wavered, hands dropping from the controls. Jaime approached the device. Yes, They granted us limited administrative access to maintain the simulation's integrity. What you're doing is like smashing a quantum computer with a hammer. It won't free you, it'll break everything. The vortex pulsed violently, reality rippling. Objects blurred, losing definition. "We're out of time," Lauren said urgently. "Dr. Eris, step away now." Something in Lauren's tone reached Eris, who stepped aside, allowing Jaime access to the controls. "I can't just shut it down," he called after examining them. "The reaction's self-sustaining." Lauren pulled out a stabilizer from the Continuity Project, designed to counter quantum variances by reinforcing simulation parameters locally. "Everyone out except Jaime and me," she ordered. "Evacuate this section and prepare quarantine procedures." As the room cleared, Laren approached the vortex. The stabilizer vibrated as it connected to the quantum field. "If we can't shut it down conventionally, we'll use the administrative protocols," she told Jaime. "Synchronize your access codes with mine." Together, they activated the commands embedded in their genetic code. The stabilizer glowed with strange light, interfacing with their biometric signatures and the vortex. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then the energy folded inward, collapsing with a thunderclap. The lab returned to near normalcy, but a small spherical distortion remained where the vortex had been, barely visible except from certain angles. "What is that?" Jaime asked. "A scar," Lauren replied, checking readings. "The simulation's fabric is damaged here. It'll never fully heal, but it's stable, a permanent reminder." "Exactly," Jaime said. "We'll need a monitoring station here, especially for quantum physics and dimensional research. And yet the fundamental stability of our existence remains in question," a coup counselor interjected later during a council meeting. "This is unsettling." For a coup, unsettling equated to extreme distress. "With respect, counselor," Lauren responded, "stability has always been an illusion. Now we have systems to monitor and maintain that illusion." A murmur of discomfort passed through the council. "An unfortunate choice of words, Dr. Laren," Vaughn said from the chamber's side. Though not a council member, his role in the project granted him attendance. "But accurate," Lauren persisted. "The coup values stability because we intuitively understood its importance. Now we know why. Our genetic structure was designed to verify and maintain reality's integrity." This perspective, developed with Jaime, made sense of coup psychology. Their obsession with order, attention to detail, and ability to detect inconsistencies. "You suggest we were created for this purpose?" the senior counselor asked, pupils contracting slightly. "I suggest our evolution was guided toward these traits," Lauren clarified, "just as humans were guided toward exploration and pattern recognition, complementary functions within the system." The council fell silent. Finally, the senior counselor spoke. "Your project requires additional resources." "Yes," Lauren said. "The monitoring network must expand, especially in frontier regions where discoveries are likely without oversight." "And you believe the coup should lead this expansion?" "It aligns with our inclinations and abilities. The stability of reality is at stake. What could be more important?" It was a strategic appeal to coup values, and it worked. The counselors exchanged subtle glances. "We will approve the resources," the senior counselor announced, "but with conditions. Coup involvement must be primary, and significant discoveries reported to this council before sharing with other species." Lauren had anticipated this. The coup would never fully embrace a multi-species approach, but their participation was vital. "Thank you, counselors. Your wisdom ensures our continued existence." As she left, Vaughn fell in step beside her. "A successful presentation, though you omitted certain details." "Only those that would undermine our objectives," Lauren replied. The Council doesn't need to know about deliberate resets or our communication protocols with the architects. Indeed, the humans have been equally selective with their authorities. It's necessary, Lauren said firmly. Full disclosure would trigger the reset we're preventing. I agree, but it places a heavy burden on those who know the truth. Vaughn stopped, facing her. You've changed, Dr. Laren. A year ago, you wouldn't have withheld information from the Council. A year ago, I didn't know reality could be erased with a thought. She met his gaze. Sometimes stability requires flexibility. Vaughn's pupils widened slightly, a cool sign of surprised amusement. A paradox worthy of the architects. He resumed walking. The human, Jaime, requests your presence on Earth for their monitoring network expansion. I'll depart after my report here. Good. And Dr. Laren, remember balance is essential. The coup provides stability, but without human adaptability, we'd be incomplete caretakers. It was the closest Vaughn would come to sentiment. Laren nodded. Earth was unlike anything Laren expected. She'd anticipated chaos reflecting human unpredictability, but found a world of harmony, teeming with life and activity, yet with an underlying rhythm suggesting natural balance. It's beautiful, she told Jaime as their shuttle descended toward the Continuity Project's Earth headquarters in New Zealand. We've worked hard to restore it, Jaime said, gazing at the lush landscape. A century ago, it faced climate instability, resource depletion, mass extinctions. What changed? We did. Necessity forced us to evolve, to think beyond immediate gain. Maybe the architects nudged us towards sustainability to avoid an environmental reset. The headquarters, built into rolling hills overlooking an ocean, blended advanced technology with nature harmoniously. Human scientists greeted them, deferring to Jaime with natural respect, not rigid coup formality. The monitoring network is ready for inspection, the lead scientist said. We've incorporated coup verification algorithms, adapted for Earth's quantum background radiation. Show me, Lauren said. The Earth system was unique, using genetically modified plants as living sensors that changed color or electrical output in response to quantum fluctuations. Elegant and nearly impossible to hack, Jaime noted as they toured a monitoring field. They're linked to an AI for analysis, but detection happens at a cellular level. This wasn't in the approved designs, Lauren said. It's a human innovation. We developed it, proved it works, then presented it. Lauren should have been concerned by the deviation, but she was intrigued. It was the adaptive thinking Vaughn had praised, a perfect complement to coup precision. It needs thorough testing and documentation before wider implementation, she said, more for appearances. Of course, we've prepared verification protocols. Lauren noticed the Earth staff seemed more at ease with the project's true nature than others. Your people seem comfortable with this knowledge, she observed when alone with Jaime. Perhaps because humans have always considered reality might not be what it seems, he said. It's in our philosophy, religion, even entertainment. A simulation isn't as traumatic for us as for species with rigid worldviews. Like the coup? No offense intended. None taken. It's accurate. Lauren watched the plants sway, their leaves shifting colors with quantum fluctuations. Perhaps that's why the architects chose human DNA for their message. You were ready to consider it, while Ku were ready to verify and stabilize. Perfect complementarity, Jaime said. That evening, as Earth's sun set, casting golden light over the headquarters, Laren contemplated this complementarity. A young researcher approached. We've detected something unusual in communications from the Arcturus Systems monitoring station, the Helios colony. Lauren focused instantly. That was where they'd contained Eris's experiment a year earlier. The quantum scar left by the dimensional experiment is changing, developing unfamiliar patterns. Lauren and Jaime exchanged concerned glances. The architects might be communicating through the scarred reality. Prepare a secure channel to the outer rim, Lauren instructed. We need a response team immediately. As the researcher complied, Jaime moved closer. If the architects are reaching out through the scar, they may have detected something we missed, something serious enough for direct intervention. Or they're testing our role as caretakers, Lauren replied. Either possibility was troubling. If this is a test, they'll expect the original intermediaries to respond. Lauren nodded. I'll inform Vaughn. We'll depart as soon as transport is arranged. As they prepared, Lauren couldn't shake a sense of foreboding. The architects had granted a probationary period to prove aware inhabitants could maintain the simulation. Had they failed, or was a greater threat emerging? Whatever awaited at the quantum scar would redefine their role in this simulated reality. The question was whether it would strengthen their position as caretakers or lead to the reset they'd fought to prevent. Looking at the Earth monitoring station, its blend of technology and living systems, Lauren felt a strange certainty. The answer lay in complementarity, stability, balanced with human adaptability. Together, they'd prevented one reset. Together, they'd face what came next. The knowledge that reality was a construct, that everything could be erased, had once terrified them. Now it was the foundation for unprecedented cooperation. Perhaps that was the architect's intent all along. They'd uncovered a message in human DNA and been horrified. From that fear came understanding, and from understanding a new purpose, guardians of reality itself.